My name is Wesahana Pearson, recording for Black Asian Magazine. And I'm sitting in my place in Taiwan. I'm talking to a very interesting brother who he was kind enough to share part of his story with me earlier. And he's actually in Korea. So just to start, for the site, can you tell us your name?
Yes, my name is Garrett Harper.
Okay. And Garrett, can you tell me where did you grow up and where are you living at the moment?
Yeah, I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, Crown Heights area. Bounced around the different sections growing up, like in Brownsville, Flatbush, some other areas, also in Manhattan, like the Jackson projects. Actually, after my parents separated, you know, me and my mother, my oldest brother, we bounced around the other parts too, and then also other states. So I've lived in San Antonio, Texas. I've lived in Jacksonville, Florida, and then eventually, she couldn't handle us no more, so she allowed our dad to find us. So then we ended up moving with him to Maryland.
Maryland.
Maryland. Yeah, so I spent time growing up in the DMV area too. So like DC, Maryland, Virginia. I was up and down there. We grew up out of there too. So then eventually, skipping a lot of information, but jumping forward, at 17, actually, I remember when 9/11 happened. And then when 9/11 happened, I was in 11th grade, and I was watching on TV. Luckily, I wasn't in the city at the time, but I had a lot of family out there, so of course, that kind of stirred some stuff up in me. Ended up at in grade 11 joining the Marines.
Okay.
But of course, I didn't actually get in yet until I graduated. So I still had like a year to go. So by the time it was closer to graduation, my cousin, who was already in the Marines, was telling me like, no, if you want a life, if you want to be told, if you don't want to be a drone, he was like, don't do the Marines. He's like, do another branch of service or whatever. So I ended up, me and my best friend at the time was like, all right, maybe we should, look into it then. So I know the Army kept trying to want to get us, want to get us, but it was like, nah, I ain't trying to get in the Army. So then the Air Force came about. My buddy was like, yo, let's join the Air Force. I was like, all right. And then I ended up where I'm currently at right now, which is I'm in Mungyong, South Korea.
Okay.
Yeah, Mungyong, South Korea. It's like dead in the middle of South Korea. This is my second time over here. Right now, I'm an English teacher. Before I was military, I was Air Force, so I was stationed on the west coast of South Korea, which is right outside the city of Gunsan.
Gunsan, okay. So anyone who knows Korea will probably know those cities and towns. All right, so would you say that September 11th is the thing that really made you decide to join the military?
I think September 11th, I think that was the spark. And of course, especially, seeing your home city getting attacked, saying by, the terrorists, that kind of sparked it. But also, as far as my education too, because like I didn't get into the colleges I wanted to. I didn't have scholarship funding, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to get probably like 2-3 jobs just to go to a community college, before I can go to the higher universities I want to. But then service was like, you know what, that was the fastest way to get some schooling, and I was, at the time, I'm like, oh, I'll be able to travel the world, they're gonna be sending me this way. I joined up, and my first duty location was Florida.
Florida, okay.
And I hate the humidity. Yeah.
Up to now, tell me what, besides the United States, Korea, what are some of the other places you've traveled to and or been stationed at?
I have, all right, let me see. Before I went into the military, I only went back to my heritage country of Barbados.
Barbados, all right. You can see the Bayesian flag behind you. Shout out to Barbados, okay?
Facts. So I was went to Barbados and also, Canada. And then after I joined the military, before the military even sent me anywhere overseas, on my own dime, I was, like when I was doing my technical training and stuff in Texas, we used to go down to Mexico, a bunch of times. So that was the next, other country that we went to. And then once I joined the military, like I said, first duty station was Florida. Then after that, I had put in for Korea. So then Korea was the next foreign spot. So while I was out here in Korea, um, when I was coming through out here in Korea back in 2009, we had this rule where you can only leave the peninsula once. So really, you couldn't really come over here and then start traveling like China and
Yeah.
Japan and all those all the time, because you only get a certain amount of time in the military and they don't let you leave the peninsula more than once. So I did Japan while I was here because they didn't consider that leaving the peninsula, because we're literally right next door and it's just a ferry ride.
Right.
And then after that, I went to Italy. Was my next
Okay.
duty station after that. And a lot of people always hear, "Oh, you was in Italy? Oh, you must have had a blast." Yeah, on my own time. The military out there, like I was telling you earlier, we was nuke based, so we had to, our
You were
security had to
the
be,
base
real
that
high.
you dealt with handled nuclear weapons. Is that right?
Yeah, nuclear program. Yeah.
Okay. So how was that
We had,
different than working on a regular an army base that didn't, or an air force base that didn't handle nuclear weapons, nuclear program?
the difference is the security protocols and all that kind of stuff. I can't really, go into too many details about it, but
I see.
overall of it is it's like the clearance levels, the steps you got to take to do things, the just all around just fact of life, especially if you work on aircraft or anything that's going to be dealing with it, or any type of part that's going to be dealing with that program at all. There's a lot of stuff like they want to know everything in your life, like the color of your stool, everything. It's just so in depth. It gets really tiresome, and at times, people don't realize when you sign up for the military, you signing away your life to the military. Like you don't have no legal rights, and you don't have none of this kind of stuff that people on the outside would get. Benefits don't add up to the amount of bull you go through, the amount of stress you're taking on, the situations you get put in, the mental, the body strain you go through in the
Right.
military. People don't realize, like, it's a lot of times it's not even worth it. But yeah, that's mainly the difference. You can do a lot more stuff when you are not under one of those kind of programs. So then on my free times when they weren't working us, like, weeks on, sometimes we used to work, just every day for weeks. And then, so like I'd take every opportunity, every little gap of time they gave us, and I'd disappear because I had my passport since I was younger. So that was my international, pass to travel. Like I'm not sitting still. I used to tell people, like, yo, I'm bouncing. I'm like, y'all with me after work or not? At this time I'm out. So a lot of times after work, I'd be in Croatia, I'd be in England, I'd be in all sorts of different countries in Europe. Like most of the countries I've hit, a majority of them was in Europe. Since I was already in Europe, it made it much easier to get to all these other ones. So I've hit, I think, about 28 countries, majority
Okay.
of them in Europe. Of course, Afghanistan when I was over there
Okay.
uh, during Operation Enduring Freedom.
So did
Then,
you like how was Afghanistan? How was it working there? Because a lot of people want to know like what that situation was like.
yeah, war zones are never fun. It's just it's crazy. Even if you're not battling, hand in hand and stuff like that, you still go through a lot of stresses. You still dealing with attacks. You still, everybody's, on walking on shells, and
Mhm.
you never know when the next attack is gonna come from and everything. I can't talk about specific situations that went on. We did get attacked a good amount of times. Some people broke first time first weeks we were there. Others took longer.
Mhm.
I realized being there, I was like, you know what, this ain't this ain't it for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I was
It's
like,
not the kind of place you
I
want
was
to be.
like, I mean, but saying you being from New York too, like, and even cats from other, saying rough cities, like you get to that kind of situation, it's like, it's like, okay, I'm used to people shooting at me, or I'm used to hearing gunshots, but then you hear explosions all the time. it's kind of, you know what I'm saying, it's different. It's different. But I mean, not everybody gets scared, but it still affects you
Right.
subconsciously. So
Right.
like in my situation, I just became numb to it. Like there was times I just didn't even care. And I just like, you know, I gotta get my gym time in. So I grabbed my M16 and I just beeline it for the gym. Like I don't even care. Like I gotta get this workout in. There's nothing else to do. Just I don't know why we over here. And I was out there around the same time my uncle was too. I remember one of his troops caught a rocket to the front to the front of his body as he was walking out of the PX,
Mm-hmm.
you know, store that they had on post. So you just never knew. It was surreal to us when we walked into our ops building. When we first got there, and they had a board that had like a yarn and like safety pins, like, and you just see random pieces of yarn just everywhere. It was like, this is like artwork or something. Like, what is going on? And they were like, nah, this is the random grenade rocket attacks that would just, you know, that just hit random places on post, and you just never know where it'll come from.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that. Moving to the present right now.
Yeah.
How long have you been in Korea first? But more than that, can you give me like a compare and contrast? How would you say, how would you compare where you live now to the place where you grew up? It seems like you spent the longest amount of time in New York, or was it Texas, or like where you grew up? How would you compare Korea to that place?
I spent most of my life growing up. It was between New York and like the DMV area. That's
Okay.
where I spent most of my years. I would say I've been in Korea going on about 7.5 months now.
Okay.
Being back in Korea, I would say if it was like a good comparison. So let me see. So like Korea compared to where I grew up,
Mhm.
is like it's definitely like I guess the best place that you can say but Seoul. Seoul would be the closest to, you know, New York for us, because you
Right.
got, you know, Seoul has the different areas of Hongdae, Itaewon, you know, and things like that, Gangnam. So you have the different sections, and it's like for us in New York, we had the different boroughs. You know, we had
Right.
You got Queens, you got Brooklyn, and you know, you got Staten Island. So you got your different boroughs. So that's the best. And then as far as public transportation too, like Seoul is most related to New York. We
Mhm.
have the subway lines, you have the above lines, then you have the taxis and the buses and stuff like that. And then of course you have the melting pot of cultures that, like, it just seems like everybody who comes to Korea, they love to always go to Seoul and everything like that. So usually you run into your most foreigners up there,
Okay.
and you know, especially different kind of shops and clubs and everything like that.
So, how am I trying to pose this next question? Like, Korea and New York, are they more similar or more different? The two places.
They're definitely even though there's like, as far as like the image wise, you know, as like I said, the public transportation, all those things, those are similar, but the culture of life,
The pace of life.
people, is different. Is way different. Of course, okay, basing it off of like our era growing up, the
Okay.
'80s, you know, what I'm
80s,
saying, like
early
the mid
90s.
'80s, you know, '90s, yeah, like that. Like
Yeah.
we were known for what? Who's like the OK Corral out there,
Yeah.
like. I know you knew growing up, like when we leave, even when you went on vacation and you came back, cats in the hood used to treat you like you was some new face. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
They know you live down the block. They know you live in the next apartment building. They still would try you. They still would, you know, you still get robbed by people you know in your own borough. So it's like that now compared to how we grew up in Brooklyn, it's
Yeah.
totally different. This, you know,
Yeah.
you got the
A lot of
hipsters, you got
education. There's a
yeah.
lot bigger police presence in these areas.
Oh,
So
definitely,
crime that
definitely
was
because
almost condoned or almost even encouraged doesn't go on
yeah,
anymore. You definitely do see
yeah,
that.
because of
So,
gentrification. You know what I'm saying? That's what brought they. In order for them to keep that, they had to increase their presence. Because, you know, growing up, we had it to where, you know, the jump out boys, you know, the undercover cops, they was the most crooked.
yeah,
They used to rob the
drug
cats
dealers.
in the hood all the time. You know what I'm saying? Corrupt cases all the time. So it's definitely crazy. And then you out here in like Korea, and you just like you still keep that same mentality, like, especially if you come from those kind of locations. But then it's like you're like you kind of expecting stuff to happen, but then you're like, oh, nothing's gonna happen. Like when police pass by, you know what I'm saying? You look at them and they saying hello to you. You like, what? Me? Okay. Okay. Waving at they
Is that
waving at you.
good or is that bad? How does that affect you?
It's good to me because I never had that, saying growing up. You used to always, we used to be scared of the cops. Like, you see the
Yeah,
cops, you
this
running even
person
if
might actually shoot you even though you're a child. That's the
yeah, like
mentality. That's how our parents explained it to us, and they had to prepare us for that, even though we were children, because it was to our benefit to expose us to that reality, even though they didn't want to, because we were actually too young for that. Yeah. Okay. What else? Like about maybe safety and food, and just like the way you live from day to day. Is it better or worse in Korea?
okay, I speak on safety first. Safety is definitely 100 times better than being in the States.
Right.
Just like I said, from fact, when I came back from the military and I was a vet, I had my legal gun license. I was registered as a state trooper, all that kind of stuff. They had me on file, all that. I had my legal concealed carry, all that. Still didn't feel safe to carry my firearm on me in my vehicle, on me or in my vehicle. Like I still wasn't doing that, even though I was legally
Right.
able to, because I was seeing too many. I kept seeing too much stuff on the news every day. Every day, saying people of color getting shot down. It wasn't necessarily always black, but it was people of color always getting gunned down, having a cell phone or having their wallet, just stuff that wasn't even looking like a gun in broad daylight, still getting gunned down. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to give nobody the opportunity. So, and we were dealing with that since we was younger age. So we've always had that built in our heads, like don't do nothing to draw attention
There you
because you
go.
can possibly get killed with no reason, and then they're gonna get off with it anyway. So we pretty much like white privilege. You know what I'm saying? You growing up knowing that everybody else other than you of color is gonna have privilege over you. So don't do nothing to give them that fire, that ammunition. So coming out to Korea, the first time I felt it right off the bat, that Korean warmth. Like, some people say, this race, they felt racism. Like, no,
And that's what
many
I've
countries.
heard too. And that was kind of like refreshing and surprising from the
Mhm.
conversation we had earlier, that you
Yeah.
felt a strong sense of family out there. Can you go into detail about that a lot more?
Oh yeah. So like the first time I came out, and even though I was military, like I used to always disappear, like by myself or with one more partner. Like we just on our free time, we just hop on a random bus and just shoot to random cities and just explore. And the first time, like I felt like the true Korea warmth is like when we went to one of my favorite cities out here called Gwangju, and it's the big metropolitan city because they got another Gwangju, like a smaller city outside Seoul, but it was the big city of Gwangju, all university and stuff. We went there, to explore and the party and stuff like that, but mainly just to look around, see what they had to offer. So I remember the first time we got off the subway and we're coming up with our bags and we're like we were the type that just like to go, and then when we get there we'll find where we're gonna sleep and all that. So there we are coming out the train station and we're walking, and this is the time it was like snow on the ground and things like that. So we're dragging our bags of snow, like, all right, where we gonna go so we can party. And this is closer, like this is in December time frame because it was closer to New Year's
Okay.
that we was over there. So it was after Christmas, almost New Year's. So we're going to look around, and we hear a bunch of commotion behind us, and then we hear hey hey, and we turn around and see like a whole like it looked like a platoon of police cadets and stuff like that, and they're coming our way, and we was like, oh man, like what's going on? Like what did we do? So we was like, we're like, is there something wrong? Did we do something? And they were like, oh no, can you take pictures with us? And we looked at each other like, are they serious? So we was like, yeah, sure.
Pictures.
So
Yeah, really.
we took
And they
pictures
spoke
with
English.
all of these. There was some of them, couldn't speak that much English, but there was others that spoke it pretty good. and those, they were speaking like the broken English, but for the most part, we understood what they was talking about, and they, we here we are taking pictures on just public street. Just there's about 13, 14 of them, and two black guys, and we just taking pictures with them and posing, and with them. And it just felt like you just got that sense, like, man, like I never had that. You just have a whole bunch of police that want to take pictures with you like you're some star or something like that. Just like you've been acting in movies, and they know you from places. So that was the first instant. And then around the same time, it was either the same night or the next night when we was out at the club. We had went, and of course we went, and it was like it was kind of dead at the time. It was like, whoa, this people in town said this is kind of jumping the spot. I was like, and it's almost New Year's. You think there's parties everywhere? So we see, so we just was chilling a little bit longer, and then we seen like a group of actual foreigner girls. They were like, they were drinking, and then they were like on the dance floor, whatever, dancing. You know how the girls do their little girl circles.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, so they're doing that. So we sitting back and we relaxing, we just chilling, we just drinking or something. So then my buddy was like, "Yo, you just go talk to these girls. There's nobody else around." So I was like, it don't matter to me. We can do whatever. So we went and we started chatting with them. We talking about, there was a couple of them from Canada, some from Ireland, um, another one was from like what she said she was from like Scotland, and there was something else. There was at least 7 of them, but we were mainly talking to the Canadian chicks and stuff like that. So then I would say it was about 11:50, and it still was kind of dead. So we went to go get drinks again at the bar. So as soon as we walked through the bar, I swear, I kid you not, as soon as we turned around, it's like a ninja bomb went off. It was just flooded with people. It was like, damn, okay, this is what we talking about. This is New Year's party. So we're in there having a blast, we're enjoying it. The countdown comes down, and then next you know, it's even more crowded. So I guess everybody was waiting, saying closer to the time, to come out. And as soon as that happened, we started having a blast. Like we were kind of like crowd surfing a little bit, but we didn't do it too much because like we literally could not get through the crowds. Everybody, like this group of girls or this group of guys or that group of girls, everybody wanted to take pictures with us. I'm like, yo, they acting like we basketball stars or something like that. So then we're close to the stage, and me, I'm the type of guy I've always been like this, and it's probably my islander side. Like I love listening to music. Music's like my life. So I have music playing all day, every day. And I'm usually always dancing around. You can catch me dancing around. I don't care where I'm at. They don't embarrass me. I'll dance wherever. So I remember we were in the club and I'm dancing. The DJ was like, yo, come on stage. So then I'm like, all right. So I come on the stage and I'm in the zone. I've been drinking. I'm just dancing, having fun. My buddy taps me on my leg. And so I turn around, I'm like, what? What's good? He's like, yo, look at the crowd. And I'm like, what? I look at the crowd. I kid you not. Everybody was looking at me on the stage and what I was doing. And I was like, he was like, yo, they're copying whatever you're doing up there. I was like, for real? So then I had to test it out. I was like, okay. So then I started doing some dance, and the crowd was doing it too. I'm like, oh man, this is blowing my mind. So then I really get into it. So then, like, yo, I was like, those 2 moments was like the turning factors of like how I felt in Korea from the first time. So ever since then, I loved it. And then eventually I spent a little bit over a year here, and then I had to go back. I ended up going to the next duty station in Italy, but ever since then I was trying to get back over. But life events, came into play, and then couldn't get back over until now. So now that I'm back over, I still get that warmth from people out here. To where like right now, I even have some locals in my town. This local couple that's pretty much like my adopted Korean parents. Usually when I'm in their restaurant, they always have me, make sure I'm doing my Hangul studies and studying the language so I can communicate even better with them. And people that always come in, they be like, oh, they got a foreigner in their shop, and then they realize like, oh, he's a little bit more than a foreigner, because like they'll come past me like, oh, make sure you study, like I'm a little kid again, back in the States. But it's not nothing like
because they care about you. They're demonstrating that they want you to do well, and they're embracing you.
Definitely.
That's fantastic. That's what you came in contact with in Korea. That's really wonderful. All right. Let's move forward with the interview a little bit. Tell me about what you do there in Korea. I think you mentioned that you're teaching there. Tell me more about that and how is that going for
Yeah. So I did I did the military thing. I did the corporate life, tried that, but both was kind of soul draining. You know what I
you?
mean?
Right.
So, I was finally glad to get away from all of that. And opportunity came to where, teaching jobs coming across my plate. I was actually supposed to teach in China first,
Mm,
but then I was like, when I was talking to my buddy, it's like a brother to me. I was talking to him and I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about going over to Korea, going to teach overseas. And he's like, oh yeah, that's where I met my fiance. She was teaching, the UAE. And so he was like, yeah, I'm gonna mention it to her. She probably got a program that you can get a, deal on, give you some insight of stuff. So I was like, okay. So right now I teach at three different public schools, two elementaries and one middle school, all boys middle school. And I teach over 360 kids every week, you know.
wow. Okay.
So, I love it. Even on my hardest days, like most stressful days, because I mean, come on, you teach kids. So,
Yeah.
and
For sure.
sometimes they're going to be rowdy. But even on my hardest day, it's still the easiest day I've had compared to all the other stuff I did in my life.
All right. So, all right. Thank you for sharing that. The amount of things you've done, which the amount is quite significant, and the amount of time in which you've done them, you've been able to get quite a bit accomplished in less time than it would take most people. Would you attribute that to what you learned in the military or being from the military?
Mm, I would contribute most of my drive, like I said, from being from New York.
You kind of talked about this a lot already, but can you expound upon this more? How do you feel as a black man living and working there in Korea, specifically daily interactions with people, and also we talked a lot about dating. From those
Yeah.
two standpoints, how is it there?
So, being black in Asian country, especially like Korea, so I would say is like there are times to where people see you as like a what's the word I'm looking for? They see you as like
Something that's kind of strange or unusual, like you're the
yeah,
only one of your kind. You're the
like
only
like
person.
where are you from? Like oh man, where are you from? And you usually get that from like the older ones, like
Mm-hmm.
the grandmas and the grandpas are kind of looking at you like, oh, like who are you here? Or, like, how come you're here? Or what are you doing? Or,
Kind of
they get those
suspicious.
kind of looks. Or you get them from the youngest ones, the kids that ever seen, and someone of another color really grown up. And but they're more their looks, their excitement is more like they're interested. They want to know, like, oh, you don't look like me. I want to know what makes you tick. Like, what is it about you? Like, what do you do? So being out here, it depends on what kind of crowd you're around. Then you have like the mid-aged ones that have kind of been around it and haven't. If they've been around the military installation, some will have a bad taste in their mind
Yeah,
or
really.
about a black guy because perceptions, and then you get people. You always got bad apples in everything you do, every
Mm-hmm.
kind of job, every kind of religion. So you have those people that kind of go to other countries and run amok and kind of already push you behind the curve on things. So it's like some of the ones around our age, like that you kind of like to have to like I would say like readjust their way of thinking. Like it's like you have to kind of like refresh them. Like, oh look, everybody's not like that. That's like me saying all Koreans are like this or all Koreans are like this. You can't do that. You can't blanket statement everybody. So of course you run into those hurdles. You gotta you meet those people that you gotta kind of refresh their minds about like everybody's not that same way. Just because you had that one bad experience or this and that, you can't shutter everybody out.
Right.
So definitely, when it comes to dating scenes, you hit those humps. Okay, that's for a black guy though out here. Black women, it's like you know, just like women in general, women in general always have like so many options that come their way to where they can turn down left and right. Guys, we actually got to go on the hunt. We actually have to make an effort. We got to jump through hoops, you know. So it's like out here, the black guys, you got to do so much if they're not used to you or if they had a bad experience. So as far as like experiencing like racism, I know some black people come out here and they say, "Oh man, you know, Asians are so racist to me, isn't it?"
Right.
You know what? I don't believe that
And we talked
because
about that before. Like, is it
yeah,
really racism what they're experiencing, or is it just like a bad attitude and this?
mm-hmm.
Like there might be a situation where you're made to feel awkward, made to feel some type of way, but it's not. You don't know exactly what the intent was behind it, and it might not exactly be racism. Yeah, can you talk about that a little bit more?
Exactly. It's like some people are just it's not. I feel it's not racism, especially growing up in a country that has been built on racism. You
You
know what I'm
know?
saying?
Yes.
You know, on the fact that we colors in the state go through more racism than a lot of people overseas. So I don't see it. It's all about the mindset too. It's like you don't. I'm not saying ignore situations, but don't take everything as being racism. It can be ignorance. It can be someone not even seen you before. Some people grow up without TV. Some people never see people of color in their towns. They've grown up in their whole life. So it's not racism. It's just ignorance. It's just a ignorant, not even malicious ignorance. It's just I never seen you before. I don't know who you are. I don't know how you act. I might have seen a video before as I got older, and they might have seen like a gangster video or something like
Yeah.
that, or say so. They
Wire.
all like, oh, is
Yeah,
every
the black
person
people.
color like that? Yeah, exactly. So it's like you can't go. You literally have to go out in the world in the mindset of I'm not gonna take this as racism until I can understand why you feel that way or why your actions is like that. That's how you have to go about it. That's how I go about it. I'm like, all right. For example, like I'm when I'm teaching my students, especially my middle schoolers, you have some that you know it's like they've only seen like music videos where, and this is the hip hop community's fault too. It's like you have these rappers that say in this, in that, you know what I'm saying? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Busting shots, sleeping with all this kind of stuff. So of course, especially when it's filtered overseas, you're gonna have these kids that's gonna want to say that same thing, and they're not doing it out of malicious intent. They're just doing it as that's what they see in the videos. That's how they act. So they see someone like me from like one of their that's like from one of the hip hop videos, and then being from New York, they're like, "Oh, what's up?" But at the same time, and it's like there's a word that's close to saying the N word. You know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
remember the first time I heard him, I like got stopped. I was like, "What you say?" And he was, "Oh, no, no, teacher. Sorry, teacher. No, no, no." But I wasn't approaching it like, like, "What'd you call me?" It was like, "What'd you say?" Like, it sounded similar. And then I found out later that the word is similar, but then, and also, sometimes the kids be calling the darker ones monkey and things like that. And it's like,
In Koreans, you mean?
they think it as a joke, but it's like, people don't realize, like, some of these kids grow up not knowing that they're not being taught. Like, when the Koreans, talking about each other and stuff like that, they're actually more vicious to each other than people realize than colors come over here and think they are to them. Because like sometimes I'll be, like I said, I'll be in school and I'll be, we'll be doing games and we having competitions, and then you'll have some of the lighter ones, talking about the darker one Koreans, like calling them like, oh, they'll be making jokes or they'll call him he's acting like a little monkey or things like that, not because of like a racist intent, but more like they go for color. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
and that's what a lot of people don't realize. Like, totally apart from the kind of racism that we have in Western countries, they
yeah.
have their own thing that's very
Mm-hmm.
similar inside of pretty much every Asian culture, which
Yep.
mirrors what there is in the West, but it actually has nothing to do with it. It's just them. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
we're not even included in it, actually. That's just part of this country.
Exactly. And in fact, being is that like I said, I have many local friends, and I've even asked them. They're like, there's actually more racism to other Asians in Korea than they are to people of color, blacks, and all that kind of stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
nah, they're when it comes to racism, like you want to see racism, you listen to them talk about someone from Japan or something like that, because with the whole Japan
Yeah.
and
Japan
Korea.
occupied Korea, and I know what you mean. Yes.
But what they're trade like right now, they're in a stalemate too when it comes to like trades and commerce. So when I be teaching lessons in class and stuff is mentioned in Japan, things like that, they're the kids are like, oh no teacher, no Japan, no Japan, no, I don't
Hmm.
like them, and it's like, I understand y'all, you're supporting your country, this and that, but at the same time, I know a lot of y'all love Japan because y'all talk about it all the time, you know,
Manga
we
and
shop there all the
stuff.
time, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like it's one of those in the public eye type thing. So like you said, unless you're a local or something like that, you don't know like the depths of like how they do between each other. It's like
I see in you hope and optimism, and that's wonderful. Um, can you tell me one thing that you really love or enjoy about Korea? The society, the culture, the people, anything like that?
well, I know not all of it, but there's different Korean foods I do love to eat. I love like I was I touched on before, like the Korean warmth that you give is it's actually like a saying, it's called like the Korean warmth.
Yeah.
Just giving you the feel of like being able to open up people's eyes and just watching their expressions when I talk about things and my travels and all that kind of stuff. So I like the kind of like the home feel, like
Mm,
just feeling that warmth and
right.
just experience just the culture because I love history and learning
Right.
about different cultures and exploring. So I love the different kind of like places and temples and cities you can visit out here. So that's one thing I love to do. I love to travel. So travel, music, and just talking with people. I love doing that. So those are like probably the best things I've enjoyed being out here.
Okay. Plans for the future, moving ahead, moving forward. Uh, what are you working on? Any projects right now, and going forward? What do you see yourself doing?
Currently, like I said, currently I'm teaching. Even though I like teaching and it's definitely different from what I used to do, I know it's not like my final stop because like we've talked on before in a previous conversation, like I've always been like kind of entrepreneur and always trying to I eventually want to own my own business.
Right.
Um, I mean, it's been changing what I want to do. Like, one of my buddies that are out here that's like an older brother, me, French guy. He's the French white guy I was telling you about,
Yeah.
saying he wanted to open up like a hip hop dance studio because in France, especially like in Paris area and other neighbors surrounding, they're big on hip hop too. So he was talking about trying to open like a dance studio, especially like in our town for to kind of get more and more of like our generation below out to be more active because you either see either the youngest kids or the oldest adults out and
Right.
about. You don't really see like the mid range and everything like that. So kind of wanted to create a space for like them to come and do like dance and everything. And like I'd like to dabble with doing stuff with DJing. And so we were just gonna just create like just a safe and fun space. I want I want to have a spot where I have some good music. So of course, yeah, you're gonna have hip hop. Then you're gonna have Island Boy. What I'm saying, it runs through my blood. So I love my island music. So I love to mix it up too. And then of course nowadays you got them actually merging together
Right.
finally again.
A place for people who are a little bit more grown and sexy. It's just like
Yeah,
every place is loud music, drinks, and get the money. And they
yeah.
haven't invested enough into the ambiance and creating a space for people where people can communicate with each other and, like you said, mingle.
There's just so much opportunity. So it's stuff I want to do. I want eventually want to own my own business. I like talking from people from all walks of life, sharing stories and just enjoying good music and travel. So ultimately, that's how I want my own business where I can pop in and create some good vibes and still go around and explore other people's locations too, and support. entrepreneurs and people of, especially people of color. But I see people of color's business when I'm traveling the world. I'm like, oh, I need to go in there. I need to see what they're doing. I need to see how they're enjoying themselves. So that's why when I came across your magazine and your
Magazine, yes.
post, I was like, yo, that's what's up. That's big. That's big up. So I love that kind of stuff, man.
Okay. All right. One more question I have. So I see behind you have a Barbadian flag. The other flag that's beside that, what flag is it?
Yeah, that's my Knights Templar
Okay.
flag.
I see.
Because I'm also a Mason.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. So I think we're gonna wrap up right there. All right. Garrett Harper, Black Asian Magazine. Thank you very much.
All right. Peace.